You're still muted, Mr. Ostermeier. If you're talking already, then
Okay, I just had to find
yeah, now it's working.
where to switch it on. Okay. So thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you for having me. I will talk a little bit about the experiences with having a hydrogen startup and to talk a little bit about practical experiences and ups and downs. I will start my presentation with a short introduction about our company and what we are doing, and then I just have selected some single points, and I'm very open to discuss this in detail because I think it's always good to have a lively discussion about this. So our vision is to empower people, and we started really to say any hydrogen solution has to fit to the source of the electricity, because what is changing now, we are not using fossil fuels anymore, or we shouldn't use fossil fuels anymore, and the primary energy source is becoming electricity produced by wind or by solar. And if you want to do something with electricity, you really have to think where to do it. So, do you want to build a grid, or isn't it smarter to go with the production machine to the source of electricity? And that's what we do. So, we say um, if the electricity production is decentralized, we also should decentralize the hydrogen production. So, our focus really is on local hydrogen solutions. This really means local. Um, and we have two use cases at the moment. The one is for industrial use. So there are people who really need hydrogen. And the other one is seasonal energy storage. So we use hydrogen as an energy carrier. Our startup, which I have founded together with my brother, or my brother with me, was founded in 2021. We are located in Schweitenkirchen near Munich, so a little bit north of Munich. We have 13 employees at the moment. Last year we had a turnover of 1.9 million, and we have more than 30 customers in 9 countries up to now. So we are very international. If someone is writing something in the chat, shall I answer it now, or I guess it's for later?
Yes, during the Q&A session.
Okay. So hydrogen to me is, and that's a citation, the Swiss Army knife of energy transition, because on the one side, you just need water and electricity to produce hydrogen. So that's the easiest and shortest way to any chemical energy carrier. And you can use it as we have been used to use oil. So we can use it for industrial processes, or to produce anything else out of hydrogen. So if you have a hydrogen and CO2, you can produce nearly everything, like methanol, like crude oil, like methane. So there's really a huge variety of use cases for using hydrogen. Then you can use hydrogen as a fuel for mobile solutions. And from my point of view, hydrogen is a very good option if you need long distances, or if you have really heavy vehicles. So the lighter the vehicle, the better an electric vehicle is. But if you really want to use it for long distances, then hydrogen is a good option. And because we have seasons in many parts of the world, hydrogen is also an option to use as a seasonal energy carrier for seasonal energy storage. So that's the reason why hydrogen is not only storage, is not only chemical stuff you can need, but hydrogen is everything of this in at one in bonds. What is the product portfolio we offer? So we started our company with building a small electrolyzer, and we started with a 5 kilowatt PEM electrolyzer, and then we broadened our product portfolio. So we have a product portfolio of electrolyzers, and here you can see an example. It's a very small electrolyzer. It has 2.4 kilowatt. There we are using IM technology and the modules of Venapta, but we are also using PEM electrolyzer. And I guess we are the only company who is really using several technologies at the same time. So we are having electrolyzers from 2.4 kilowatt up to 100 kilowatt at the moment. And we supplement these electrolyzers with a storage option, which is mainly high pressure storage, and a fuel cell to reconvert the hydrogen back to electricity and heat. This we then call H2 battery. So that's a complete system comprising of electrolyzer, storage, and fuel cell. Then we have gone one step further, that this we call eCore. Together with our partner Infineon, we developed a system that also comprises of the battery, of a heat pump, and a heat buffer storage. So everything you need to supply energy to a building is in this eCore, and the size is like a 20-feet container. And because we see the need of teaching people how to deal with hydrogen, how to work with hydrogen, we developed a training system which is like the big system, just smaller. And so you can do everything with it what you like, but it's just specially designed um, for training users. So our electrolyzer portfolio is, as I said, we are using AEM technology where we use Enapter modules, and we use PEM stacks, and there we do the balance of plant completely ourselves. So we really just buy the stack, and we do also big electrolyzers, and we are using stacks from different, or will use stacks from different suppliers here. So that's the reason why I divided this. The outlet pressure always is 35 bar, and as you can see, the dynamic of the PEM is a little bit better than of the AEM. Then, as I said, we add storage, either storage at 35 bar, or we also add a compressor, and then we can store at 300 bar. And that's our standard highest storage pressure is 300 bar, because everything which would go higher is more expensive. So we don't do this. And what we are working on at the moment is willing to add additional services with the hydrogen, so financing or rental or hydrogen as a service, but we are not there yet. So at the moment, we are really selling the products. If we offer a complete system, then this slide shows what would be the supply from us. So we need from the outside tap water, and we need electricity, and in best case, it's renewable electricity. Otherwise, it doesn't make so much sense. Then we have a water purification inside of our electrolyzer. We have the electrolyzer itself. We produce the hydrogen up to 35 bar. Then we have something called H2 management module, where all the safety valves are located and pressure reducing valves. So everything you need to transport hydrogen from the electrolyzer to the storage, to the compressor, to the high pressure storage, and then back to a fuel cell or to a combustion engine. At the moment, we mainly use pressure, high pressure bottles to store the hydrogen, and normal piston compressor, but we are also looking into other compression technologies. So we work together with a French company which has an electrochemical compressor, because this maybe could be a better option to do this job cheaper. And besides a fuel cell where we integrate different manufacturers, we also can offer a combustion engine based on an Wankel engine. And we are, so to say, technology agnostic. So we just think you have to think from the application, what do you need in your application, and then look what is the best technical solution. And we also deliver the complete software and the security package. So if you install things in a room, you need a hydrogen sensor, you maybe need a smoke detector, You need some ATIX ventilation. We also deliver this, and so we deliver a complete system. And we deliver this complete system either in a containerized solution. So then we put everything in a container. Here you can see the hydrogen blowers. You can see the cooling. So we also have some air conditioning. Then the bottles are behind the container. Here you see another containerized solution. But the container is nothing else as a room you can just put nearby to a building. So everything we do in a container, we also can do in a room, and we do both. Yeah, so I can't say what is the better option, but sometimes it's easier to build a container. And because we are a startup, we have contact with investors, so from time to time we need some money to develop our product further. And then we are always being asked, what's your IP, what's your USP? And I say, or my answer is, our IP is experience, and our USP is really practical experience. And I found a nice citation that cite the difference between theory and practice is greater in practice than in theory. And I really can say it is like this. So you can think a lot about what can happen and how would everything be and how you should design it. But in the end, you will find out if you really test it and if you really put it in reality, things are very different from what you have been thinking before. So I think experience has a real value and is underestimated most of the time. We have quite some plants out there, so our basis for gaining experience is quite big. As I said, we started in 2021, and we delivered not so many electrolyzers back then, but we're delivering more and more. We have one in Bremerhaven, for example, which is still running. Oh, sorry for that. Then we have a special plant in Sonneberg. There, not the hydrogen is being used, but the oxygen. So they want to use the oxygen for medical reasons, and have been investigating if this is possible, and it is possible. And now the electrolyzer is on a sewage plant because they also want to see how to use the oxygen on a sewage plant. Then we have some hydrogen storage here in Alzenau. We have something, it's an electrolyzer. High pressure storage in a fuel cell, so it's seasonal energy storage. Then we have one in Wilnsdorf. This project where we just delivered the electrolyzer, and there the electrolyzer or the hydrogen is used for producing gas mixture made out of nitrogen, 98% of nitrogen and 2% of hydrogen, and it's being used in welding stainless steel pipes, because there you need a little bit of hydrogen in the nitrogen to get a very good quality of the welding. Then if you look in the outside of Germany, so our plant in Muscat in Oman has just arrived last weekend. So we will have to go there and do the commissioning soon. Then we have something in France. We have delivered something to here it is, to Finland. So it also arrived last weekend. We have to go there. So we have also electrolyzers in different climate zones, and we learn a lot about the needs you have if you have electrolyzer in a very warm region or in very cold regions, because then you really have to take care about more insulation, because if the electrolyzer freezes, then you destroy it. So, and that's the basis why I can, or based on this, I'm talking about the experiences we made, and I just came up with the idea to say, okay, building a startup in the hydrogen area is a multi-dimensional real life game. So you have a lot of things to scope with, and more than I had expected when we started the startup. So, I mean, for sure, there's the technology where I say, okay, that's new, you have to do something about this, and you have to gain experience there. But it's also the customer expectations. And I mean, it's a new technology, but the customer expectations are more or less, okay, I order it today, I get it tomorrow, and everything is perfect. And we really have to do some expectation management to say them, okay, it's a new technology. We are still learning. It's not out there for 20 years. We do our best. But I mean, it's not like you go to Amazon, order it, and get it the next day, and everything is fine. So there we found out, yeah, we have to really be aware about this. Then we have the complete value chain. So there are some companies, but it's very few who are in the hydrogen business for a very, very long time and that really know what they're doing. But many of them are also startups like us, and they're also learning. And the bad thing is that we are at the end of the value chain, so we get all the mistakes everyone has made before, and we have to, yeah, learn on several levels at the same time. So that's also developing now, the complete value chain. Yeah, and it's very important to work together to learn about this. Then for sure, hydrogen is new to everyone, so to find the right employees is difficult, but finding the right employees is always somehow difficult. Then we have the regulatory framework, which is very special in the energy space. So on the one side, hydrogen has been there for several years. I mean, industry is using it for hundred of years. So it's more or less a gas they know how to deal with. But if you really want to enable other people to use it, there is no regulatory framework at all. So all the authorities don't know what to do with hydrogen. Then they consider it as very dangerous because everyone has this picture of Hindenburg exploding, and it hasn't exploded. So this also is some challenge. Then, as we do a lot of business with other countries, customs is a challenge, which is quite interesting, but this would also be a challenge with other products. Then we have the topic of financing. I will come to this later on. So if you really want to have a startup and you are depending on getting money regularly because you can't build it from scratch with own earned money, or it's much more difficult. So this is really a challenge. And then you have China, because if you think Europe is the only one doing something innovative, no, then you're wrong. So there are a lot of companies in China which started at the same time as we have been starting. And yeah, they are also quite quickly in developing new and innovative products. And it's sometimes a little bit easier for them because their regulatory framework is easier. So they have a more pragmatic view on developing new products. So I now want to go a little bit in detail in certain topics, and I'm very happy to discuss all these topics later on. So what you can see here is the chart of the black power share, and I could have chosen any other hydrogen company. And what you can see here, there was a real hype in beginning of the Corona crisis. So it looks like people had a lot of money left and everyone thought hydrogen would be the next big thing. And I wrote, nothing kills technological development faster than hype, greed, and ignorance. So everyone thought, oh, now hydrogen is the next big thing. But if you're a technician and you really know what hydrogen is all about, you would have known, no, it can't be, because I mean, it's hardware. It takes time to develop it. transformation takes time. So we have an existing infrastructure based on electricity, based on fossil fuels. We have a gas grid based on fossil gas. We have a lot of companies selling and transporting oil and all this stuff. So you have an existing landscape, and if you want to do something new, it really takes time. But this development is really causes some difficulties now because everybody thought, okay, hydrogen is the big thing, and it wasn't. So you can see the share price went down very steep again, and now everyone who believed in hydrogen before doesn't believe in hydrogen anymore. And this really makes it difficult to say, okay, hydrogen will be a crucial part of energy transformation, and it will be an important building block because there are a lot of expectations that have been disappointed. And that's the reason why I say it's not good if you have this hypes all the time, this up and downs. It would have been much better if there would have been a realistic development because it's hard now to deal with this disappointment. And the other thing is, if you have this hype, everybody thinks you have to be in the market very quickly, which means you also don't have time to develop your product because you have to be quickly in the market and show and build reference plants. I mean, it helps anyway to get experience, but this even makes more pressure on you to be quicker. Then suppliers, I said, we are at the end of the supply chain and we have to deal with all the missing experience of the suppliers. So they're also quite new in the market. And the funny thing is, and we addressed this, that some of the suppliers are changing their operating instructions without telling us. So we find out by chance, oh, they have changed something. Maybe we should be aware of this, and we also have to react to this. So this seems to be very common, just to change something and hope that the customer, in this case, we will find it out. Then, if they change something in the operating instructions, they never tell you, okay, it's good to do this if you build your next plant. Please be aware of our changes and consider this. But I mean, we have some plants out there, and the question is still open. Do we have to change anything now, or can we leave it like it is because they have changed maybe their product, and we only have to consider the new changes in our new product, or what do we have to do? So that's also very open, and learning really has to be together in the community. So this is really very important. And another thing is that if our suppliers change their sub-suppliers, this also causes problems. And this also sometimes we only find out because we have problems we never had before. And then if we ask, they say, we have changed maybe some sealing and we found out, okay, maybe it was cheaper, but it was not a good idea. So in the whole value chain, if you have the end, you will find out a lot more than all the component suppliers because everything that can possibly go wrong will cumulate with you at the end because you're at the end of the value chain. Then what we also can see, as I said, investment, or as a startup, you need continuously money. So that's not only us, but it's everyone. Then you will find out if you're doing hardware, investors don't like hardware at all. So they ask you, you're making hardware, not software. Oh, it's difficult to scale. No, we don't like to invest. So you really have to be aware of this. If you're doing hardware, it's a much harder game to get money than if you're doing software, because to scale hardware needs a lot more of money than to scale software. And then there's a special thing. I think it's mainly in Europe. I think it's easier in the US and it's also easier in China. You really it's really easy to find money for R&D funding, so to develop something, and it's easy to find money if you have a profitable business. So if you could show I'm earning money with my product, then you can go to a bank and then they would lend you money. Um, you would easily go get a loan. But in between, from to say, okay, I have something that could become a product and to become profitable, there this to this gap to bridge this gap is very, very difficult, especially in Germany. So because they say, oh, we don't know if this is a good idea, please show that you can make money with it, you have the customers. So that's the reason why I called it Valley of Death. Then we have some customers, and that's also a tendency that more and more paperwork is needed. So nobody wants to take any responsibility anymore. And we also have projects in Switzerland. I mean, it's really funny what discussions we have there about distances from any blower and how dangerous is hydrogen really, and how if you have to vent the room, how often should you do this per hour? So it's really very detailed discussions, and you really can see nobody wants to take responsibility anymore. So if you want to enter the market with a new product, you have to be aware, you have to do a lot of documentation, even if you self think it's ridiculous to do this. And a little bit in the same direction are all these institutions like TÜV, because I mean, what you can do to say, to guarantee that your product is safe, you can go to one of these institutions and ask them, could you please help me with certifying my product? And then you will find out that they also have a tendency to foresee more and more safety. But if you do this, then you won't be able to build a product that anyone can buy. So your product will become very, very expensive because they really put on belt and several security levels. And this brings you in a situation where you really have to decide, okay, what do I really need? And what can I neglect because the product still is safe, but there is someone out there who can afford it to buy it. So this is really a tendency that I see with the Chinese competitors. They don't have this problem as much because they have a much more pragmatic approach to building a new product and to find out if it's really working like this, and not to foresee over safety. And then the last point here is authorities. I mean, hydrogen is new to them, especially in the applications where we bring it into the market. So, I mean, in our case, end customers are dealing with hydrogen and they say, oh no, it's everything new and we don't know how to deal it. So this means that sometimes you have really an extra long authorization process because they also need more and more paperwork because it's difficult to be responsible at the end for having allowed some end customer to really operate a system that is quite new from a technological point of view. So you have to deal with a lot more things than technology, and I underestimated this when we started it. We find this out step by step, and nobody would have told you this in the beginning. But on the other hand, and sorry that I have written that in German, that's a site of a customer who is really, really happy with our plant. So he bought hydrogen from some hydrogen supplier. So he got it delivered by a lorry or a truck every week, 2 bundles of hydrogen, which was very expensive, up to 35 euros per kilogram. and the truck is delivering the hydrogen and producing a lot of CO2 emissions because, I mean, you use a diesel truck to deliver hydrogen because you are not allowed to use a hydrogen truck to deliver hydrogen bundles. It's another funny thing. So you need a diesel truck to supply some customer with hydrogen bundles. And he also has a lot of PV power, and during the weekend he's producing a lot of surplus PV power. And now with his own electrolyzer, he can produce his own hydrogen whenever he wants to produce it. He can use all the surplus electricity from his PV power. He can't use in any other use case. So his factory is not operational during the weekend, and he is really independent from any supply chain because he can produce it by himself. He has installed 11 bundles, and he needs 2 weeks. So he also has some buffer in between, and the bundles have been filled last week. So he's now full with all his hydrogen storage. And he really offered whenever we want to drop by, we can come with potential customers, we can visit it. He even would get us the key for the door for the electrolyzer room. And he's very happy. And that's why we do it. And that's the booster we really need from time to time to do what we do, because we see there are a lot of people out there who really believe in hydrogen, who really believe in decentralized hydrogen production. And it helps them to become independent from all this political turmoils, from all these wars in the world where you are dependent on, do you get oil, do you get gas to produce hydrogen? No, they don't are depending on anyone. They're just depending on their own electricity production by PV, so that they're depending on is the sun shining, and they need water, and that's it. And then they can produce everything they need by themselves. And this really gives them a lot of freedom, and it really helps them to be sure to pay the same for hydrogen in 10 years than they pay today, because they buy a plant, they have depreciation, but they nearly have no operational costs. So it really gives them freedom, and that's the vision we are living for. We want to empower people, and this on a very decentral, very local level. And that's why we're doing it, and that's why we are still motivated to deal with all the nitty-gritty things we have to face. So that's in a short overview what we are doing and the ups and downs in uh, having started a hydrogen startup. And now I'm very happy to answer your question and to discuss with you your view on hydrogen. So thanks a lot so far, and I'm looking forward now to the discussion.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Ostermeier, for your presentation. It's a very honest and insightful look into your work experience with the these decentralized hydrogen projects. Definitely lots of struggles to push through, but it's also very rewarding. And I'm sure it was an interesting talk for especially for entrepreneurs or for maybe for startups as well. And yeah, I look forward to questions from our participants. This is our last talk actually, and many people have been coming for the last 3 days, which I really appreciate that all our participants are showing up for all our talks. Thank you for sticking with us, staying with us until the end. We really appreciate it. And feel free to ask any questions you have. Or unmute yourself directly, or a comment. It doesn't have to be a question, it can also be a comment. I think, it's quite focused on more of a company. Okay, let's see the first question here from Rajat. Can you please provide the life cycle cost for a hydrogen plant as an example? Yeah.
That's a difficult question. Um, let's let's take the 30. I mean, the last customer I've shown the slide, which is very happy about the system. He spent about 300,000 euro for his system, which comprises of a 30 kilowatt electrolyzer with all the balance of plant parts, so cooler, compressor, and hydrogen storage bottles. And that's it more or less. So he has to invest this money, and operational costs would be electricity, which he gets from his own PV plant, and would be water, which is very cheap in Germany still, luckily. And service and maintenance costs, I would estimate 3,000 euros per year. So, I mean, it's mainly investment costs. So it would be the 330,000 euro he invested for the plant. And I don't know what time he uses for depreciation, because every company can choose it a little by itself. So it's a little bit difficult to answer, but I said he was paying 30 to 35 euros per kilogram of hydrogen, and producing hydrogen by himself means that he can produce the hydrogen for 20 euros per kilogram, so much cheaper. And this really makes a difference for him, because he can produce the hydrogen by himself much cheaper.
Mhm. Amazing. We have also, yeah, Rajat, if you have any comment or follow-up question, please feel free to ask it. We have a question from Khalil, very much appreciated. I'm really intrigued with I would love to look forward further into the startup and the work being done, and hopefully still be able to reach out if any questions comes up in mind. Yeah, definitely. We will have both the recording in our YouTube channel, the Solar Energy Engineering Masters YouTube channel, and we also have the slide deck that would be happy to share with you. And in it, there's also the direct contact to Dr. Ostermeier.
Yeah.
We have here a question. In case of PEM, electrolyzer batteries will not be needed for covering the fluctuation from RE energy.
Okay, I would say dynamics are overestimated. I mean, PEM has a quite high dynamic, but in our case, if we use it for seasonal energy storage, we always have a battery in our system, because we use the battery as a storage for day and night. And it's also better to run the electrolyzer in steady state. So this helps for lifetime. And I also think, if you look at it from the big picture, there are so many batteries being installed at the moment in the grid that you won't need the dynamics, so high dynamics as everybody is assuming at the moment, because batteries are much better in handling the dynamic and much cheaper. So I assume you don't need an electrolyzer with high dynamics. Also, the PEM is better, a little bit better as the AM, but I think you won't need it.
All right.
What,
And I got it. Mhm.
what is the service life for a plant? Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, the most critical part is the electrolyzer stack, and our suppliers tell us it has a lifetime of 40,000 hours, which would be in a 24/7 operation 5 years. In our use case is 20 years, because it's not running all the time. We don't know this at the moment. And yeah, we are modifying our plants, but I mean, we can't keep room for any modification, because if we don't know what we have to modify in 10 years, then we can't foresee it. So yeah, we can do some modifications, but yeah, we can't foresee everything, and everything is still developing.
All right. We have another follow-up question from Rajat. Rajat, also free to talk to us directly if you would like. But the question is, do the utilities get carbon credit when they use hydrogen? Um, yeah, it's varied in various like it changes from in various countries.
Honestly, I don't know, but it should be like this. But it's also very complicated, this carbon credits. It should be like this. I haven't had any customer where we could have looked deeper into this. But as you're producing green hydrogen, and if you produce it from PV, you are avoiding CO2 emissions, then you should get carbon credits. There are some public funding schemes out there, especially in North Rhine-Westphalia. You get funding for building electrolyzers, and they want to know if you save CO2. So they ask you about, are you saving CO2? But it's not because of the credits, it's because of the funding itself. So honestly, I can't answer this question.
Mhm. Thank you very much.
Getting permits to install a system, yeah.
The bureaucracy that goes behind it, yeah.
I mean, it we have installed some systems where it was very fast to install it, and it was 3 emails with um, some authority, and they said, yeah, it's everything is okay, please install it.
Yeah.
And then we have other projects where we have to hand in paper and another paper. So in Austria, we have a plant. I think we sent it to them 1.5 years ago, and they don't have permission to run it. So yeah, it's depending very much on, I don't know what, on the local authorities. And yeah, it's sometimes difficult for the authorities, and I can understand this because it's all new and they don't know what to do, and they don't have a checklist they can tick every point, and then they have to read things and to understand, and it's not their main business. And yeah, so it's varying wherever you are.
Let me just answer this one. Where was it that it was very easy, you mentioned?
This was near Aschaffenburg. There it was very easy.
Germany. Okay.
In Germany, because the mayor is very fond of hydrogen. That's the reason why it was very fast. And in Switzerland, we are discussing now in one project, I think for 3 months, we are discussing how to install it because, yeah, they're asking several questions and they come up with new ideas, and then you can't do this. And then they think, maybe you could do it like this. And yeah, it's.
I think, yeah, the first thing it comes is like that they're skeptical, especially like you said, that there are no checklists
So
to, like, it's not so organized.
uh, and in one project now, also in Switzerland, we have to send a pile of new stickers with, oh, be aware oxygen, be aware hydrogen, be aware you can fall off, be aware bundles, don't smoke, don't make open fire. I mean, it's easy to do this, but it's also, I mean,
You cannot be too careful, I guess.
yeah,
Especially,
yeah, I mean, you would assume if people see there's hydrogen, they are not smoking, but you never know.
yeah,
So
exactly. I think better, yeah, to let people know because maybe sometimes you're not even aware what's going on behind you. So it's good to have.
a lot of stickers. So we are sending, I think, 15 or 20 new different stickers with be aware of
Yeah, every project.
everything. And yeah, so yeah, that's sometimes funny.
Definitely. Um, Especially, yeah, like you said, it's not yet organized in a way. So every time for every new project, you're facing new challenges in a way.
And what we had, it's very funny. Funny, a customer sent us a picture because we have a compressor. The compressor is outside and this is a housing. And he found out that wasps now build their nest inside of the compressor housing. So that's also, and we also had bees because we have a vent line for oxygen, and there are some bees out there and they built their nest inside of the oxygen line. And we tried it. You need 28 bars to get it out again.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
So that things you really find out if you do something, because you won't think about this in theory. You really have to do it and find out what happens if you build a real world plant.
Yeah, and you have a close relationship now with clients, so they can always come to
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
and ask about these things. Do we have any final comment or question from our participants? We have, yeah, a couple of minutes if you would like. Otherwise, like I mentioned, the recording and the PDF slides will be available to you very soon. All right. Yeah, thank you for joining us. Maybe one final question from my side, perhaps, like if you have one final advice to people that want to start and want to begin a startup in this field. I don't know if
Yeah, I mean,
makes sense or not.
it's okay, start with software. It's easy to
All
get
right.
money for software. I mean, at the end, you need hardware because if you don't have hardware, software doesn't help you anything. And yeah, really have an eye on a little bit ahead when you need money again and try to find some supporters in industry very early.
Mhm.
This makes things easier. I mean, hardware is, yeah, it's much more difficult. And also maybe take care about financing or finding new investors or investor relationships from the beginning on and make small steps. I guess this helps. So if there's a hype, don't follow the hype.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Dr.
Just
Austin. It was a pleasure to have you. And we had really an amazing 3-day event, and we were very glad and very happy that you accepted our invitation and you took part in our event,
Thanks for inviting me.
of course.
Doctor, I have one last question. You mentioned about the software startup. So, do you mean the calculations feasibility study software, or the software which handles the hardware? So, uh,
Um, I mean, what we are looking at the moment is an energy management system. Because I mean, we make the software for our hardware ourselves because I mean, we know how to run our hardware. So we will always do the software ourselves because it's also part of the security concept. But I would say where you could earn a lot of money is energy management of the complete system. So if you have a battery, if you, I mean, and this hydrogen battery is only long-term storage from a very high, if you look from it from a very high perspective, and you can play around with storage or with. So you can say, I have electricity. When do I get electricity very cheap? Shall I store it for a short period? Shall I store it for a long period? When is the best point in time to sell the energy back to the grid? So if you have a complex system in a house where you have, for example, battery storage, heat pump, heat buffer, so heat storage, hydrogen storage, you have an electric car, then you have a lot of different types of buffer you can play around with and really find what is the best option to utilize electricity when you have it. So when you get it very cheap, and when is the best option to sell something back to the grid when the electricity prices are high. And the more different types of buffer you have, the more options you have to deal with this. And we have the Equa I have showed you is now in Basel at Premium Energy, which is an energy company, and they really want to find out how can I utilize the system to earn money with it if I use it in an everyday scheme, because the hydrogen storage has to be full in autumn, so before winter starts. But in between, from spring to autumn, you can play around with it and really find out maybe you can use some of the hydrogen to produce electricity and heat when there's rainy weather for one week. and sell it back to the grid. So to find use cases, how to make money with a good storage option or a good storage system. That's something, I guess, if you have a very smart idea there, you could earn money with it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for your answers and for your discussion with our participants. And yeah, thank you all again for your participation. And we look forward to see you again next year in our event.
Then have a nice weekend.
Yeah, thank you. Have a nice weekend, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye bye.